Good morning, friends. I'm Sunita Fadkule, professor in mechanical engineering at JSPM's Jaywantrao Sawant College of Engineering, Hadapsar, Pune. This is our video lecture number 25, which is on unit number 3, that is 2 degrees of freedom systems, undamped vibrations. So today we are going to see 3 problems we are going to solve on longitudinal vibrations. The learning outcome is you will be able to estimate 2 natural frequencies and 2 principal mode shapes of 2 DOF longitudinal vibrations. Let us see your syllabus content of unit number 3. Okay, so today's topic is on longitudinal vibrations, natural frequency and mode shapes. Okay, so let us see what we have learned in the earlier lecture. Already we have solved 2 problems on longitudinal vibrations. So today we are going to solve next 3 problems. Okay, and as already I told you that there is a very typical procedure to follow to solve any type of problem of 2 DOF system, whether it is longitudinal vibration or torsional vibration or combination of vibrations. Okay, so let us have a look. So what are the different steps? First, you have to draw the free body diagram, then apply Newton's second law or D'Alembert's principle, then write down 2 equations of motions, then simplify the equations, collect the coefficient of x1 and x2, then assume the solution like this, then take double differentiation, putting the values of all these x1, x2, x1 double dot, x2 double dot in the equation of motion, then cancelling out the common term sin omega t and collecting the terms of capital X1 and capital X2, that is amplitude of vibration of both the masses. After that, we have to cross multiply that equations, which we are getting the similar equations, and you will get the equation in this form: ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. That means the root of these equations are nothing but the values of 2 natural frequencies. Okay, then to determine the 2 mode shapes, take any one equation of x1 upon x2, put the value of omega n1 first, you will get first principal mode shape. Then put the value of second natural frequency, that is omega n2, you will get second principal mode shapes. And finally you have to draw 2 mode shapes diagram in the proportionate scale. Okay, so this is the same procedure we have to follow to solve all problems. Okay, so let us see the problem number 1 today. Set up differential equation of motion for given system and determine natural frequencies, ratio of amplitude of 2 modes and principal mode shapes when stiffness is 40 Newton per meter and mass is 10 kg. Okay, so that means natural frequency means omega n1, omega n2 we have to determine. Ratio of amplitude 2 modes means capital X1 upon capital X2. That ratio we have to determine. And finally, for these values, you have to find out the your natural frequencies and mode shapes. Okay, so this is your given problem. Okay, see, this is mass number 1, mass number 2 having mass m and 2m. So this mass at this instance is moving towards right. Okay, that we are denoting it by x1 amount. Then second mass is moving towards right, that variable parameter is x2, and these 2 masses are coupled by 3 springs, k, 2k and 3k. Okay, so this middle spring, intermediate spring, will connect these 2 masses. Okay, now the first step is you have to draw the free body diagram. Okay, so this is free body diagram of both the masses. In this diagram also it is shown. Okay, what are the different forces acting on these 2 masses? Inertia force, this is inertia force, and spring forces. Okay, now as this mass is moving towards right, this spring will exert the force towards left. What is the magnitude? K into x1. Similarly, this intermediate spring will exert the force on these 2 masses. Okay, now what I told you earlier, that before showing the direction of this middle spring, you have to assume whether x2 is greater than x1 or x1 is greater than x2. Accordingly, the spring force direction will be different. So now here we have assumed x2 greater than x1. That means your net deflection or effective deflection of the intermediate spring is x2 minus x1. Okay, so as x2 is greater than x1, first show the spring force direction for this mass. Okay, so as it is moving towards the right, the spring force will be towards left. So it is shown here 2k into bracket x2 minus x1, and opposite spring force will be acting on mass m, which is towards the right. Magnitude will be same. Okay, so similarly this spring force will be towards left as it is moving towards the right. Okay, so this is the inertia force and these two are the spring force. This is the inertia force and these two are the spring forces for mass m. Okay, now we are going to apply which law? Either Newton's second law of motion or D'Alembert's principle. Now here, which law we have used? Can you think? See here, inertia force is shown towards left. That is opposite to the direction of motion. Okay, that means here we are going to apply D'Alembert's principle. For Newton's second law of motion, your inertia force is always in the direction of motion. Okay, and your equation is inertia force is equal to summation of forces. Whereas in D'Alembert's principle, your inertia force will be opposite to the direction of motion and your equation is summation of F is equal to 0. So let us write down given data. M1 is equal to m kg, M2 is equal to 2 m kg, K1 is equal to K, K2 is equal to 2K, K3 is equal to 3K. Okay, and we have to find out omega n1, omega n2 and capital X1 upon capital X2, that is the ratio. For m is equal to 10 kg and K is equal to 40 Newton per meter. Okay, now let us have a, now already we have solved the such type of problems in detail. So I will be moving very fast to solve this problem. Okay, so using D'Alembert's principle, summation of Fx is equal to 0. Okay, so we have written these two equations based on this direction. Which direction we have considered positive here? Always the direction of inertia force. So direction towards left is positive. So this is plus, this is plus, this is minus. Okay, so it is written here. See, mx1 double dot plus kx1 plus, and this is minus 2k x2 minus x1 is equal to 0. Okay, similarly write down for second mass. All three forces are acting towards left, so all three forces are positive. So summation of Fx is equal to 0. See, 2m x2 double dot plus 2k x2 minus x1 plus 3k x2 is equal to 0. What's the next step now? We have to collect the coefficient of x1 together and x2 together. Understood? So what are the coefficient of x1 here? K, that is plus k plus 2k. It will become 3k. So it is written here mx1 double dot plus 3k x1. Coefficient of x2 is minus 2k x2. Understood? Now, in second equation, what is the coefficient of x1? Only 2k. So it is written here 2k x1. Okay, it is minus. Then what are the coefficient of x2? 2k and 3k. That becomes 5k. So second equation is 2m x2 double dot plus 5k x2 minus 2k x1 is equal to 0. What is the next step now? We have to assume the solution. What is the solution? For every problem, this is the same solution you have to assume for longitudinal vibration. The solutions are small x1 is equal to capital X1 sin omega t, small x2 is equal to capital X2 sin omega t. Okay, what are capital X1 and capital X2 represents? These represents amplitude of vibrations of mass m1 and mass m2. And what is small x1 and small x2? These are the general variable parameters. Okay, displacement of mass m1, mass m2 at any time t. Okay, now differentiating these two, double differentiation, you will get x1 double dot is equal to minus x1 omega square sin omega t and x2 double dot is equal to minus x2 omega square sin omega t. Okay, now we have to put the values of x1, x2, x1 double dot in above equation 1a here. This is your 1a. So putting the value of x1 double dot, x1 and x2. Okay, what we will get? See, minus m x1 omega square sin omega t plus 3k capital X1 sin omega t minus 2k x2 sin omega t is equal to 0. Now how to simplify it? See, sin omega t is present in every term. So let us cancel it. So what is remaining now? Minus m x1 omega square plus 3k x1 minus 2k x2 is equal to 0. So we have to write down this equation. Something into x1 is equal to something into x2, because we want to write down x1 upon x2. So what did we get? x1 upon x2 is equal to 2k upon 3k minus m omega square. Okay. Now let us put the values of x1, x2, x2 double dot in second equation. Okay, that means this equation. In this equation, okay, put x2 double dot, put x2 and put x1. What we will get? See here, minus 2m x2 omega square sin omega t plus 5k x2 sin omega t minus 2k x1 sin omega t is equal to 0. So sin omega t will be cancelled out from each term. What is remaining now? 2m minus 2m x2 omega square plus 5k x2 minus 2k x1 is equal to 0. So again, you have written this equation in terms of ratio, that is x1 upon x2 is equal to 5k minus 2m omega square upon 2k. Okay. So see, equation 2a is also x1 upon x2. Equation 2b is also x2 upon x1. X1 upon x2. So that means if a is equal to b and a is equal to c, that means b is equal to c. So equating these two equations. Okay. What is our aim? We have to determine the value of omega, that is omega n, that is natural frequencies. Okay. So cross multiplying these equations. Okay. What we will get? See, this into this. So 5k minus 2m omega square into 3k minus m omega square is equal to 2k bracket square. Okay. Now after simplifying these, it is just a mathematics. We will get equation in omega square. It is quadratic in omega square. Okay. Omega raised to 4 minus 11k upon 2m omega square plus 11k square upon 2m square is equal to 0. What is the type of this equation? Ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay. So we have to find out the values of now omega square. So this will give you two positive values of omega, because it's a omega square. Two values are. Okay. So what first value we are getting? Now see, here we have written the equations. Okay. Now that step I have not written here. You have to just simply use the roots. How to find out roots? You know the formula. Okay. Roots are is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Using this formula and just simplifying, it is very simple algebraic steps are there. We will get two values. Omega n1 square, that is 5.26, omega n2 square 16.74. So this is your final answer. Omega n1 is equal to 2.29 radian per second. Omega n2 is equal to 4.09 radian per second. Okay. Now the second answer. We want to find out principal mode shapes. Okay. Why the name principal mode shape is given? In the earlier lecture, I had explained you that as every point in the system is vibrating with the first natural frequency, that is known as the first principal mode shapes. When every point of the system is vibrating with second natural frequency, that is known as the second principal mode shape. And the third category is if every point on the system will vibrate with the combination or the superposition of both the natural frequencies. Okay, that is known as a general mode shape, and that is not for your syllabus. For your syllabus, there is only principal mode shapes. Okay. So let us find out first principal mode shapes. X1 upon x2. One is the suffix for first principal mode shape. Understood? Now consider any one equation of x1 upon x2. See, we have two equations, correct? This is one equation 2b, and this is one equation 2a. Consider any one equation to find out the mode shape. Okay, so I am considering this first equation, that is x1 upon x2 is equal to 2k upon 3k minus m omega square. What you have to do now? You have to simply put the value of omega here, omega n1. Okay, see, it is 5.26. So K is known to you, given to you, M is given to you, omega N. Here omega N1 we already found out. That is omega N1 square is 5.26. Here it is omega N1 square. So you will get first mode shape value 1.186. Okay. Similarly, for the second mode shape, again use the same equation, but put the second value of natural frequency, that is 16.74. You will get second mode shape, that is minus 1.6877. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to plot the mode shape diagram. Okay, now let us analyze this one. This is your first principal mode shape at omega n1 is equal to 2.29 radian per second. Okay, the value of this one is 1.186. Means what? X1 upon x2 is equal to 1.186 upon 1. Means what? If x1 is equal to 1.186, x2 is equal to 1. Now it is positive value. So both the mode shapes are, means both the values are lying on the one side of this section only. Okay. So x1 is greater than x2. See, x1 is 1.186 and x2 is 1. So this is the diagram. So here it is, suppose mass m1, here it is m2. Okay, this is your total system. Okay, now this is your node point where zero vibrations are there. This is second node point where zero vibrations are there, and in between this system will vibrate horizontally. So these horizontal vibrations is shown here like this. Okay, so where are the maximum say displacement? At m1, that is 1.186. But as you go from here towards the node point, your displacement decreases. Similarly, from m1 to m2, when you go from m1 to m2, your displacement decreases from 1.186 to 1. And from this m2, as you go towards the right side node point, your displacement will be reduced, and finally it will be 0 at node point. Understood? So this is the first principal mode shape diagram. Okay. Now consider the second principal mode shape diagram. Its natural frequency is 4.09 radian per second. Okay. And every point on the system will vibrate with this natural frequency. Now your value of mode shape is minus 1.687. Minus means both the modes or displacement of the masses are in the opposite direction. Okay. That means if this mass is moving towards left, this mass is moving towards right. That is not the case. That was not the case here. If left mass was moving towards left, right mass also was moving towards left. Okay, because this is positive. And here it is negative, means what? These two masses are having displacement in the opposite direction. And what is their ratio? Suppose if x1 is 1.687, x2 is 1. So this is 1.687 and this is 1. And other points are, as you go away from this mass, it is the displacement is decreasing, and at node point, which is a fixed point, vibrations are 0. Similarly, at second node point also vibrations are 0. Now there exists the third node point in this second principal mode shape. Okay, here this point represents 0 vibrations. So this is also called as a node point. Okay, so this is your these mode shapes. Understood? You can relate this with your first original diagram. Okay, now recall your original diagram and apply your mode shapes to this diagram. See here, this is your original diagram. Okay, your original system. So this is mass m1, this is mass m2. Okay, and these two are vibrating. Understood? So how those vibrate? Either it is in the first mode principal mode shape, or they will vibrate in the second principal mode shape, or they will vibrate in general. Understood? So this is your first problem. Okay. Now second problem. What is the problem statement? Two railway coaches, each of mass 2000 kg, are connected by coupling as shown. Determine the natural frequencies and amplitude ratio for vibration of the railway coaches when K is equal to 40 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter. Okay. So these two are the railway coaches. Each is having the mass that is 2000 kg. Then those two coaches are coupled by springs, two springs. Okay. So 40 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter. Okay. So M1 and M2 both are equal, that is 2000 kg. K is 40 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter. And we have to find out omega N1 and omega N2 and principal mode shapes, that is first mode shape and second mode shape. Okay. Now let us simplify this diagram. These two springs can be replaced by a single spring. Okay. You know these two springs are connected in series. See, don't imagine that this is a mass. This is a, you can say a coupler, you can say, which is a having negligent mass. Huh? That's why don't imagine that these two springs are connected in parallel. No, these two are connected in series, because one and immediately other is connected to the first spring. Okay, so how to find out its effective spring stiffness? When any two springs are joined in series, the effective stiffness can be found out by this equation. 1 upon Ke is equal to 1 upon K plus 1 upon K. So that gives you Ke is equal to K by 2. Okay, that is 20 into 10 raised to 6. Your K is 40. So this is the modified diagram. Okay, that means M and the middle spring, which is having spring stiffness K by 2. Okay, that is, we can call it as a K equivalent. Don't use K by 2, otherwise unnecessarily there will be parameters we are increasing. So use the letter Ke, that is equivalent spring stiffness. Okay. Now again, before drawing free body diagram, I have to assume whether x1 is greater than x2 or x2 is greater than x1. So what I have assumed here, x2 greater than x1. Okay, that means first I have to show the spring force on this mass. Okay, as this mass is moving towards right, spring force will be towards left. And what is its magnitude? K equivalent into x2 minus x1. Okay, so same force will be acting on this mass but in the opposite direction. So K equivalent is equal to x2 minus x1. And there is only one spring. So this problem is very much simplified. These two springs are, means there are no other springs. Okay, so there are only two forces. Inertia force, okay, towards left. For this mass also inertia force towards left. Okay, now let us write down the D'Alembert's principle. What is it? Summation of Fx is equal to 0. So for this mass, both the forces are opposite, and for this mass, both the forces are in same direction. So your equation of motion will be mx1 double dot minus K equivalent, x2 minus x1 is equal to 0. And second equation is mx2 double dot plus K equivalent into x2 minus x1 is equal to 0. Always remember, if this is minus, this is plus. If this is minus, this is plus. Okay. Now again, what procedure you have to follow? Collect the coefficient of x1 and x2. There are only one coefficient. So mx1 double dot plus K equivalent x1 minus Ke2 is equal to 0. And second equation is mx2 double dot minus Kex1 plus Kex2 is equal to 0. Again, assume the same solution as I told you. Small x1 is equal to capital X1 sin omega t. Small x2 is equal to capital X2 sin omega t. Okay. So differentiate. You will get this one. Putting the value of x1, x2, x1 double dot in the first equation. Okay. Then cancelling out the common term. What are we getting? The ratio of capital X1 upon capital X2 is equal to K equivalent upon K equivalent minus M omega square. Okay. Similarly, putting the values of x1, x2 and x2 double dot in second equation, cancelling out the sin omega term, and we will be getting a ratio of capital X1 upon capital X2 is equal to K minus M omega square upon Ke. Okay. Now equating equation 2a and 2b and cross multiplying. Okay, what are we getting? We are getting equation like this. See, ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. There is no c term, it is 0 only. Okay. So omega fourth minus 2 Ke upon m into omega square is equal to 0. Okay. So that means what? If you can take omega square common, what is remaining? Omega square into bracket omega square minus 2 Ke upon m. So that means one value of omega n1 is 0. And second value of omega n2 square is, you take on this side, that will become square root of 2 ke upon m. Okay, so putting the value of ke and m, you will get omega n2 is equal to 141.42 radian per second, and omega n1 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the system wherein one of the natural frequency is 0, and such system is known as a semi-definite system. Okay, so what is the definition of semi-definite system? It is a 2 DOF system in which one of the natural frequency is 0. Understood? Now, let us find out the two principal mode shapes. First principal mode shape, so I am using this equation, k upon k minus m omega square. Put the value of first natural frequency, that is 0. Okay, so what you will get? x1 upon x2 is equal to 1. That means what? Both the masses will vibrate with the same amplitude. Okay, like this. Okay, or this is horizontally, no? So it is like this. In the same direction, they will be having in phase displacement. Okay, this is x1 and x2. Now, second mode shape is, what is the value we are getting for second mode shape? It is -1. What is the meaning of -1? See, your amplitude plot is like this. Mode shape is like this. If m1 mass is moving towards left, simultaneously m2 mass is moving towards. So two railway coaches are there, no? So how they will vibrate? In the first mode shape, they will vibrate like this. Okay? By equal distance and in phase, both will be moving simultaneously towards left or towards right. In second mode shape, how these two railway coaches will vibrate? Like this. Opposite by the same amount. Okay? So this is the second principal mode shape. Understood? Now, the third problem, it is somewhat different. Okay? It is on angular vibration. Theta parameter is there. Okay? Two uniform rods having length 0.08 meter and 0.1 meter respectively are pivoted at their ends as shown. So these are the two rods. One is pivoted here, other is pivoted here. Okay, and both are having the length. This is of 0.08 meter, this is of 0.1 meter. Okay. The mass of rod AB and CD are 3 kg and 5 kg respectively. The stiffness of spring is 2000 Newton per meter. Determine natural frequencies, angular amplitude of rod CD for second mode of vibration if rod AB moves through 1 degree on either side of the vertical. And third thing, we have to find out maximum force in the spring during second mode of vibration. Okay, here we don't use principal word every time. Whenever you say mode shape, it is principal mode shape only. Okay. So what is asked? See here. This is the spring which will connect these two rods. These two rods are having certain masses and their length. Okay. And now if you disturb this system, suppose this rod, I am rotating by θ1 amount towards right. Similarly, this rod will be taken by θ2 amount towards right and release. How the system will vibrate? Okay, like this or like this, whatever, we have to find out the mode shapes. Okay, now see here there are two parameters. One is longitudinal parameter, we call it as x, and other is rotational parameter or angular parameter, that is theta. Okay, but x1 and θ1 are always related, x2 and θ2 are always related. So this is not 4D wave system, this is 2D wave system only. Either you write down your two parameters in θ1 and θ2 terms, or you write down in x1 and x2 term. And what is the relation between these two? Consider this triangle. Okay, so tan θ1 is equal to, or you can write down the equation in the form arc length is equal to radius into angle. So this x1 distance, which is the displacement of this spring for this rod, so x1 is equal to L1 into θ1. Similarly here, whatever the displacement of this spring with respect to this rod, x2 is equal to L2 minus, this is again same equation, x2 is equal to L2 into θ2. Okay, but what is the effective resultant displacement of this spring? X2 minus x1. If you assume θ2 greater than θ1, or it will be x1 minus x2 if you assume theta 1 greater than theta 2. Understood? Now, what is the given data? L1 is given, L2 is given, M1 is given, M2 is given, K is given, and we are supposed to find out omega n1 and omega n2 and ratio of phi1 upon phi2. Instead of x1 upon x2, now here parameters are phi1 upon phi2. And third thing we have to find out maximum spring force. Okay, so let us solve the problem. This is the free body diagram. Now, as this is the angular motion, curvilinear motion, here we have to consider the inertia torque and not inertia force. Okay, so to apply D'Alembert's principle, as this rod is moving towards right means anti-clockwise direction. Okay, inertia torque will be in the clockwise direction. What is its magnitude? I1 theta 1 double dot. Similarly, for this rod also, this is the inertia torque towards right or towards in the clockwise direction, I2 theta 2 double dot. Okay, and there is only spring force. So what is the spring force? What is the net deflation of the spring? As I told you, x2 minus x1, x2 minus x1. So it is L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1. See this one into K. Okay, now again you have to assume either theta 1 is greater than theta 1, theta 2 is greater than theta 1, or theta 1 greater than theta 2. Okay, now here from this equation you come to know that we have assumed theta 2 greater than theta 1. Okay, so that's why first you have to show spring force for this rod. As it is moving towards right or anti-clockwise, spring force will be shown towards left. It is acting towards left. Okay, so what is its magnitude? K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1. So similarly, show the spring force in the opposite direction of this one. This is towards left. So for this rod, it is towards right with the same magnitude. Understood? Now, for curvilinear motion or angular motion, you have to always write your D'Alembert's principle in terms of torque. Okay, so it is using D'Alembert's principle. What is it? Summation of torques is equal to 0. Okay, for this rod we have to take torque about A is equal to 0. For this rod we have to take torque about this point B is equal to 0. Okay, this is written here. Summation of TA is equal to 0. Summation of TB is equal to 0. Okay, now what is the resultant spring force? This we already discussed this one. Fs is K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1. Okay, now taking moment at A and B. Okay, let us see the direction. For this rod, okay, this inertia torque is clockwise. So we assume clockwise direction positive. Okay, this is positive. I1 theta 1 dot. I1 theta 1 double dot. Now this spring force, okay, will exert a torque on this A in which direction? In anti-clockwise direction. So that means it will be negative. And what is its magnitude? Force is K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1 into this distance, perpendicular distance. So what is this distance? L1 cos theta 1. And as you know, theta 1 is very small. So it will be simply L1, what you can say, it is the distance is only L1 theta 1. Okay, so let us see here. Taking moments about this one. So it is simply L1 because theta 1 is very small. So cos theta 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so taking moments about A. First equation is I1 theta 1 double dot minus force, spring force is K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1. And distance is, perpendicular distance is L1 cos theta 1 is equal to 0. Similarly, for second rod, it is your inertia torque is clockwise, so positive, and your spring force is also, the torque due to spring force is also clockwise, so positive. So here we have written I2 theta 2 double dot plus spring force is this one, K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1 into L2 cos theta 2 is equal to 0. Now again, as theta 2 is very small, cos theta 2 is equal to 1. So these two equations are simplified to I1 theta 1 double dot minus K L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1 into L1 is equal to 0. and I2 theta 2 double dot plus K into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1 into L2 is equal to 0. Now here, putting the value of mass moment of inertia of the rod I is equal to ml square by 3. Even if you don't recall this value, or if you by chance take wrong value, don't worry. Nobody will be evaluating you for this one. Okay, if your procedure is correct, even if your answer is wrong, you will get maximum marks or even full marks. Okay, so putting the value of I here, m1 L1 square upon 3, that is I1, and m2 L2 square by 3, it is I2. This is the mass moment of inertia about this point, not about CG, about this point A, about this point B, because your rod is vibrating about this point. Okay, so when we put the values of I1 and I2, the equation will be like this. Okay, now just simplify again. What is the equation? So what you have to do now? Collect the coefficient of theta 1 together, collect the coefficient of theta 2 together. Similarly, in this equation also, collect the coefficient of theta 1 and theta 2 together. Okay, so let us see here. M1 L1 upon 3 theta 1 double dot plus the coefficient of theta 1 is KL1. Coefficient of theta 2 is KL2. Similarly here also. Okay, so you have collected the coefficient of theta 1 and theta 2 together. Now what is the next step? You have to assume the solution. Same solution, only you have to write down in terms of angular parameter. So x1 will be replaced by theta 1, capital X1 will be replaced by phi 1. Similarly, small x2 replaced by theta 2 and capital X2 is replaced by phi 2. So your solutions are theta 1 is equal to phi 1 sin omega t, theta 2 is equal to phi 2 sin omega t. So differentiating, double differentiating, what you will get? Theta 1 double dot is equal to minus phi 1 omega square sin omega t. Theta 2 double dot is equal to minus phi 2 omega square sin omega t. Okay. Now substituting in equation 1a, what are the values you will substitute? Theta 1, theta 2 and theta 1 double dot. Okay. Then cancelling out common term sin omega t. So this is your equation. Okay. So this equation can be written in terms of omega square. Okay. So omega, this one. Now again, what you have to do here in this equation, collect the coefficient of phi 1 together. Okay. That is minus m1 L1 by 3 upon omega square plus k L1 into phi 1 is equal to k into L2 into phi 2. Okay. So that you can write down this equation in the form of phi 1 upon phi 2. That is the amplitude ratio. Okay. See, all these mathematical terms are there unless and until you write down in your notebook on your own, you will not be understanding this one. How the next step has come. What is the simplified step? What is the simplification you have done? So my request to all of you that don't read this problem. Solve this problem in your notebook. Okay, then and then only you will understand it thoroughly. So phi 1 upon phi 2 is KL2 upon minus M1 L1 upon 3 omega square plus KL1. Understood? Similarly, putting the value, putting the value of theta 1, theta 2 and theta 2 double dot in the second equation, you will get second ratio. Phi 1 upon phi 2 is equal to KL2 minus M2 L2 by 3 omega square upon KL1. Okay. So again, equating these two equations, that is phi 1 upon phi 2. Okay, then you cross multiply these two equations and write down this equation or simplify this equation in terms of omega raised to 4. So your final equation will be omega raised to 4 minus 3 m1 plus m2 upon m1 m2 into omega square. Here c is 0. Okay, that is a square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So c, there is no constant, it is 0. Okay. So again, what you will take common? Omega square. When you take omega square common, what is remaining in the bracket? Omega square into bracket omega square minus this 3 m1 plus m2 upon m1 into m2. Okay, so your first natural frequency will be 0 again in this problem. And second natural frequency from this value by equating these two will be omega square is equal to, it will be taken on that side, that is 3 m1 plus m2 upon m1 into m2. Okay, so when you put the value of m1, m2, you will get omega n2, that is 56.56 radian per second, and omega n1 is 0. So what is the type of system is it? This is semi-definite system because one of the natural frequency is 0. Now ratio of amplitude means what we have to find out? Principal mode shapes. Okay, that is ratio of phi1 upon phi2. So consider any one equation. So I am considering this equation. What you have to do now? First put value of omega n1 here. Okay, that is 0 only. So what you will get? The first mode shape here it is omega, here it should be omega n1. So what you will get? Your this one first mode shape is here it is 0. So k L2 upon L1, k will be cancelling, L2 upon L1. Okay, that is the first principal mode shape. And second principal mode shape, what you will be getting? Minus first principal mode shape will be getting minus 2.08. Similarly, second mode shape, or rather actually mode shapes are not asked here. What is asked? See here, that's we will find out that value which has been asked. So what is asked in the problem? See here, what is the statement? Determine angular amplitude of rod CD for second mode of vibration if rod AB moves through 1 degree on either side of vertical. Means whenever, if theta 2 is a maximum displacement, that is if phi 2 is equal to 1, what is the value of phi 1? That you have to find out in the second mode shape. Okay, that's why we have not considered first mode shape because it is not asked. Okay, so from here we will get second mode shape, phi 1 upon phi 2. That's why we have put the value of here omega n2. Understood? So we got phi 1 upon phi 2 is equal to minus 2.08. Okay, this ratio is minus 2.08. So when I put phi 2 is equal to 1 degree, okay, phi 2 is equal to 1 degree, I will get phi 1. Okay, actually they are CD rod, they have when one rod is having 1 degree, second rod is having displacement minus 0.48 degree. So this is your second answer. Okay, now you have to find out maximum spring force also. What is the equation? Fs is equal to k into L2 theta 2 minus L1 theta 1. Okay, now you know all the values. Maximum spring force means theta 2 will be replaced by phi 2, theta 1 will be replaced by phi 1. So what is theta 2? Phi 2 sine omega t. What is theta 1? Phi 1 sine omega t. Okay, and what are the maximum values means sine omega t is 1. So what will be your spring force? Fs is equal to k into bracket L2 phi 2 minus L1 phi 1. Now you know this value, you have found out this one. Okay, so it is 0.1 into minus 0.48 into pi by 80 because this must be converted into radian. These values are in degree. Okay, to find out the spring force, these values must be in radian. So converting it, we are getting spring force minus 4.468 Newton. What's the meaning of minus? The spring force, whatever the direction we have assumed, it is not acting on that, in that direction, it will be acting in the opposite direction. That is the meaning of negative sign. Okay, understood? So hope so you have understood these problems. Now in the next lecture, we are going to solve only 2 problems, but that will be on combined vibration, combined longitudinal plus torsional or longitudinal plus angular. One problem we are going to take on automobile, and second problem we are going to take on block which is sliding also, which is vibrating along the longitudinal direction, and simultaneously a pendulum is attached to that one, and that is also vibrating with angular motion, angular vibrations. Okay, so thank you very much. Hope you have understood the problems.